I mean, shambolic to go out to that Man United team who were down to 10 men, who we had, 120 minutes to score against?
Yeah.
At home.
Is, on the one hand, the amount of injuries that Arsenal had this season, I really don't think any team could have won the title with that amount of injuries to key players.
It's a balance, these ratings, because like Robbie said, January, the window is also part of the season. And that window was a 0 out of 10.
For me, like the biggest disappointment, I've got to say, was the home league against PSG. Let down a lot of that.
Came well short of that. I'm going 2-3 out of 10.
Welcome back to AFTV. It's that time of the year. I can't believe how quickly it's come by. The season hasn't been what we wanted, and yet it's gone quite quickly. We're going to rate the season. But you know what? It could be easy to sit here and rant and rave about it all. There'll be a bit of that. Let's break up the competitions into all four, and let's go into some detail here. Lead judges. I'm here with Robbie Lar. I'm here with Turkish LDN. How are you all?
Is that your surname, LDN?
Yeah. We're going that. Go subscribe.
That depot.
Are we ready to do this? Yeah, we're not going to have a particularly good time doing it, but let's try. We've got to rate the season, people. Out of 10. Could do it out of 5.
Where do we begin?
Well,
What, the Premier League first?
let's just do the Premier League first. It's the bread and butter. It's the main one. And maybe we can end on some highs. Okay, the Premier League. Turkish, I'll go over to you.
Premier League.
Some reasoning as well. Let's really get into the meat and depth of this.
Premier League. This is probably the most difficult of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm honest with you.
Not wasting time.
I'd probably say finish second, some way off. Best of the rest, doesn't mean much. Expectation was to win it. Came well short of that. I'm going 2-3 out of 10. 2.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
He said it's going to be the hardest.
I'm going 2-3 out of 10. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Let's not laugh, because last time you said that about a sign.
You lot have just asked me to be in depth. I've been thinking about it for 30 seconds, weighing it up, and then you laugh as soon as I say 2-3. 10.
No, do you know why I'm laughing? Because I know roughly what others are thinking, and I'm just waiting for you to say 2, which is probably fair. But I'm just waiting for you two to go at it. Robbie, before we get more to Robbie, what are you giving it?
I'm going to get a 6 out of 10.
I think we should just leave the video and let them two.
We're going to go at it again.
Going to argue. There's no point us being on the rest of this video.
What? Why?
Well, because one's giving it a 6 and the other's giving it a 2.
Well, I'm giving it a 6 as well.
Okay,
What are you going to give it?
4.
You've been in the sun a bit
I
too
genuinely
long.
sit in between.
I'll give it a 6 because of the injuries that we had and everything like that. To still come second, you got to think that's because a lot of other teams capitulated. Arsenal didn't. They kept in there, not challenging, but kept themselves up there, like, you know, with a lot of injuries, a lot of things like that. But I ultimately agree with Turkish. It wasn't where we wanted to be, and it the one thing that I might even go 5 because.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to change mine to a 5.
Yeah, because we didn't challenge for the title at any stage this season.
I'm going to change mine to. I was going 6, but when I think about it, I'm going to go 5, and the reason being is, on the one hand, the amount of injuries that Arsenal had this season, I really don't think any team could have won the title with that amount of injuries to key players. Like the amount of players that were out for. I was just chatting to that United guy, and he was going, "Oh, the injuries we've had." I was going, "You ain't had nowhere near it." Arsenal have had the most injuries of any team, 27. Right? They've had the most serious injuries, like long-term injuries that keep players out for ages. So like Saka being out for ages, Ben White, Marino. I mean, you can go, there's a whole list going way down, like long-term injuries. Havertz, Jesus, all these players. I just don't think you can sustain a title challenge with that. So that's why, you know, if it weren't injuries and the season would have been where it was, I'd understand the 2-3 and stuff like that. But because of those injuries, that has to be taken into account. Where I'm marking it down from a 6 now to a 5 is that they could have at least made an attempt in January to try and do something. In January, that January transfer window, go out there, get in a couple of reinforcements to try and freshen the thing up, right? And they didn't. They just chose to, and I said it at the time, they bailed out on the season then. They basically gave up and said, we're just going to wait until the summer And then we've seen exactly that. You know what I mean? We were lucky we had a little run, got a run going in the Champions League. And I also think that, you know, I have to say the squad stepped up, because if the squad hadn't stepped up, we wouldn't have finished second. So players like Miko Marino, players like Miles Lewis-Skelly, these guys, they stepped into that breach and they really, really performed well. Kivior, for when Gabriel's been out, another long-term injury. But I really do think if we would have had our full team, I'd be able to, you know, for most of the season, I would have been able to judge it better, but we didn't. And that's the reality of it.
I'll land on 3.
Yeah, fine.
Just
Go on.
No, that's it.
No.
I'll land on 3.
Okay.
Why? What's the why
What
three?
makes it a bit better than 2?
I mean, it's fine margins.
Yeah.
And that's the injuries Lee and Robbie
Yeah, but
talked about. And I'll accept that. The injuries have been a lot of bad luck involved, but I do think, you know, maybe even half of them, you could argue that it was coming considering the workload of the previous 2 seasons, and that's where off the pitch, you know, it's a balance, these ratings, because like Robbie said, January, the window is also part of the season, and that window was a 0 out of 10. So in January, if I'm looking at the season so far and I'm saying 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, that January hits it hard. But I'm going to land on 3 just about, because I feel like there's, you have to consider overall in the end, innit?
You have to consider, Turkish, right? Other teams that had horrendous injuries, right? I remember we had the worst, right? So it's a team like Tottenham. They had it not been for the relegated sides being so bad, they probably could be, you know, going down this season. The same with Manchester United, so who also had you know, and not even as many injuries or nowhere near the serious injuries that we had. So that has to be taken into account. But it was a 0 window because we did 0. You know what I mean? So it can only be a 0
That was a
window.
big disappointment for that. I actually felt, and I still do, feel let down by the club.
Yeah,
on
I'm
that,
still
really.
pissed about
Yeah.
it.
Very, very let down about it. And when you think about it, and this is where it's a credit to the players, because to go from January to now without a forward and still be decent side is incredible. It's incredible.
The squad stepped up. That's for me. The squad stepped up. Otherwise, you know. But the way I still can't believe in January what they did.
Shocker.
You know what I mean? That was just is unforgivable, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Do you know, Robbie, I said in a fan cam after, who did we last play? Who did we just beat? Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
And just sometimes, I'll be so honest about it, sometimes people just don't listen and don't read. They just sort of see like something, a headline, and they just go crazy about it. I said that I'm happy if second and 2 semi-finals is a bad season. And what I'm saying is, we're not happy, but we got to 2 semi-finals, so we went far in 2 cup competitions and we came second in the league. We were dying for 4th a couple years ago. So what I'm saying, I love that the standard has changed around Arsenal.
It's levels, isn't it? It's levels.
And I think all that to say with the league campaign, I give it a 4, because I think the 5 for me is just more in the middle. It's like, oh, fine, it was fine. The league season wasn't fine. The injuries, I completely agree with you all on. But there is something to be said, and this is not this isn't something I'm happy about. I think it's just it's an acknowledgement. There's something to be said for, we are so disappointed with our league campaign, but we weren't ever really in a top 4 race. Yeah, we were never in the title race. We were never really in a top 4 race either. We were always kind of clear of that. And with all the injuries, and as bad as we felt like the team in the league, we finished second. Now, that's not, again, that's so far from where we wanted to be. I acknowledge that. But it's also like, okay, if that's as bad as it gets, then at least the team has somewhat raised their floor in some way. And that is something, no? Or am I just being delusionally positive?
I think you're right.
I think you're right. I think the other thing I'd mark where that scores low marks for us this season is the style of play.
Yeah.
I didn't think, you know what I mean, like the style of play, it was very, it wasn't very exciting. And then when you've got no options now and you're playing like that, it makes it even worse because you've got no options. So if you like, especially games at home, it's just like we go 1-0 up and we just control, and then might concede. And then now we've got no options to come on. I want to see Arsenal, especially next season. I want to see them go and blow teams away. 1, 2, 3 goals up. Especially, I think the style of play away from home was good. It was perfect for away. But when you're playing at home, go and blow. That's why Liverpool are winning the title, or have
great
won the
point, yeah.
title,
I
because
totally agree with that.
Liverpool at home will blow you away. They will go 2-3, boom. They're on your neck at home. I didn't feel that with us. We weren't on teams' necks.
I've not
at
enjoyed.
home.
I've not enjoyed it, Rob. I've not enjoyed
not
watching
killers,
us.
like.
I've not enjoyed watching us at home this season. How many games have you enjoyed at home watching?
Just the Man City game.
I can't think of
Man
many
City,
games
the
I've
Man City
enjoyed
in the league. That was
in
the
total.
Man City game. You know, we played them at home. That's what I want to see from Arsenal. Go, boom, destroy a team. But too many games, it was just like, we get a goal up, control it.
Manchester City, one game.
Sport in West Ham was our best patch this season. Those 3 games.
Yeah, you're right. 3-0 against Sporting. Then we went against
3-0
West
Forest. 5
went Sporting,
1,
scored 5.
and
They
then
didn't do it a lot. Didn't do
Five.
it
Yeah, but
enough.
I'm at home. The Sporting was away. I just...
West Ham was away as well, wasn't it?
and
Yeah, I
Forest
just
was
feel
at home.
like the style away worked, because you know the style away, the onus is on the away team a lot of times to attack you a bit more. Their fans are on them to attack. Then we just pick them off. But at home, I want to see Arsenal next season go there, destroy teams at home, and it was just like,
In entertainment value, it's a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, it's fair.
It really is a 1 or a 2. I haven't been entertained. It's been
Only
hard. It's been hard.
only in the Champions League I was entertained properly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to those other competitions. So just to sum up, 2 5s here for the Premier League season, 4 from me and a 3 from Turkish. So we're all pretty aligned on that. Do you know what? I want to get this one out of the way very quickly, the FA Cup.
No.
0.
Yeah, so not.
I mean, shambolic to go out to that Man United team who were down to 10 men, who we had, 120 minutes to score against?
Yep.
Yeah.
At home. Go on, your thoughts on the FA Cup, and also how much we've sort of neglected it a little bit over the years, Turkish.
Yeah, FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. It meant a lot more back in the day, because not everything was about money and how much.
Full 120, so it was extra time.
And not how much you win from
I
these
don't know one
competitions.
believe me on this thing like that. Really.
Yeah, I was pretty.
Yeah, I know. Out of all that.
But yeah,
I know these things.
FA Cup has lost its charm, but not for me. I'm from the 90s, and during that time, FA Cup was special. It had a whole day, and it does now, the final, but there was a lot of coverage around it, different sort of coverage for the time, more so around what we're doing, or what Robbie started doing on YouTube. There was, fan interviews leading up to the game and on that Wembley pathway and so on. So it means a lot, and the record in the FA Cup, not just the Man United game, but across the last 5 years since we won it, it's been I'm putting it lightly, calling it a joke.
Yeah.
Because, we've only won 2 games, I believe. I know we might have been unfortunate with a few of the draws. Man City here, did we have Liverpool one year?
Liverpool United at home, yeah.
Yeah, but the reality is, this one here, Man United, 10 men, a season where we had to win something and we're sitting here having won nothing. I look back at that one and I think, how welcome would that have been in April, May, when the title race was no longer, if there was any race at all. We was looking at weekends where we didn't have games before a Champions League one. I was looking at them weekends asking why we're not in the FA Cup still. So the Man United result was a joke, and that probably epitomises the season for me.
Yeah.
0 out of 10 for the FA Cup.
Much to add there, Robbie, or just...
Can't really argue with that, innit? I mean, out in the third round,
Yeah.
all right. It wasn't a great draw to get Man United in the third round, even though Man United are absolute rubbish we've seen this season. But it's still not an ideal. But we were at home,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and you know what I mean. At home, man, we're supposed to dispatch of United. We did in the league, you know what I mean. You're supposed to dispatch of them, and we didn't. You know what I mean. And it was very, very disappointing to go out to them.
fed up with losing to teams at home in cup competitions.
Agreed. Massively agreed. Yeah, and you can point to that for all 3
In Liverpool last year.
cup competitions.
Yeah,
this
all
season.
three competitions this year have gone out
Yeah.
basically because of our home pool.
Well, let's talk about that other one then, the Carabao Cup. We did get to the semi-finals, but it's fair to say, Lee, that the... Huh?
2.
2. Yeah, okay, wow. Okay.
We
Robin?
didn't play anybody until
Well, the run was Bolton, which we won 5-1. We then won at Preston, and then we had Palace. From 1-0 down, we won that 3-2, but then demolished 2-0 and 2-0, 4-0 on aggregate against Newcastle. What are you giving it, Robbie? Lee's gone for a 2.
Probably go 4. We got to a semi-final, so I'd give it a 4 because we got to a semi-final. But we were comprehensively beaten in that semi-final. We
Yeah.
didn't score a goal.
Yeah.
We got beaten 2-0 in both games. Like the home game in particular was very, very poor. I know that was when the injuries were starting to come on top, and there's factors outside. With again, that's where we should have been bringing in players before that game, first game, and we didn't. Just ignored it, and I think 4 because we got to the semi-final.
I forget Saka hadn't long been injured, but Waneri was actually out injured for that game too. So we were
there was a lot of players out.
Injuries, but ultimately, So 2 to my left, a 4 from you, Robbie. Turkish?
2 as well for me.
Yeah.
Carabao doesn't start to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And,
we got out completely and utterly outdone in both games.
Yeah,
went out for winter. Went up to Newcastle. It was a chore.
Yeah, that was awful.
It was just absolute chore. The food was rubbish before we got there.
Hey, that Chinese weren't bad, man.
and then
better than the Chinese.
I'll give that a 2
in all Paris.
But no, it just wasn't. And then when you went up there, you thought, right, let's show something. And they scored a goal which was offside, and we was comprehensively beaten on both occasions and poor.
Yeah, I'm going to agree on a 2 because I think Turkish said it there. It doesn't really start to the semi-finals. That's not when teams really then start to get their full 11s out if they had been rotating. We beat Bolton, Preston and Palace. And let's not laugh at Palace, right? They've just gone and won the FA Cup and they're a good side. But again, we were at home. If I'm not mistaken, they might have rotated a little bit, but I can't quite remember. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, and it's crazy. We got to the semi-final of a cup competition. I'm ranking it that low when you compare it to what I'm going to say for the Champions League. But very different situations, very different journeys, very different approaches, and very different kind of exits as well. Ultimately, and how you go out as part of it. So
that's what it comes down to. How you go out. The way we went out against Newcastle, you shouldn't even bother getting to the semi-final. The way we went out against PSG, I'd never say that.
Yeah.
It's a very different kind of view on that semi-final than it is Newcastle.
Well,
shouldn't have bothered. 4-0 and 2 legs Newcastle. And the second leg, they just lost, 4-1 to Bournemouth. Remember, just before that game, we had a bit of hope that, they just conceded.
They got smashed at home.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Champions League then, because, hey, nice to end on a bit of a high. We didn't win it, but much better run than we've seen since 2009, I think. And there were some really good wins on the way, not just good wins, but good trips. You guys followed a lot of these games, and the Lisbon trip, the Madrid trip. But I'm going to start with you, Robbie. What would you give it out of 10 and why, and how do you reflect on the Champions League campaign?
I thought it was a very good campaign. Listen, ultimately, we went out, you know what I mean? But I think
difficult, isn't it?
Is that 8 too high when you consider we've gone out? Because we finished 3rd in the group stages. Remember, there's 36 teams in that. And we finished 3rd, and there's some damn good teams in that.
Yeah, good point.
Right? And we only lost 1 game, and I remember that, that game was away at Inter to a pretty dodgy penalty, and I thought we didn't deserve to lose that game, right? So we were pretty good and even some of those teams we beat in the group stage. I remember when we played Monaco, they were doing really, really well. They were in the top 8, beat them comprehensively, beat PSG. I think we did really well. And then, the quarterfinals against Real Madrid was magical. I thought, those 2 legs were 2 of my favourite games in many years. I thought, they were fantastic performances, both of them. I was really watching the team really, really proud. And then I think, the 2 legs against PSG, like Turkish said, it weren't like, we come up against a very, very good side. We got caught cold in the first game for the first half before we got together. And then we just never really recovered from that because, and we come up against a really inspired goalkeeper who made save after. So I couldn't fault the effort and that. And I do feel that getting to the semi-finals, I don't think many people would have called that before the start of the season that Arsenal would have got to the semis. So it's somewhere between a 7 and an 8 for me for the probably, maybe I should go, can you get, semi-finals is, we haven't got there, so 2009, I'll give it an 8. 2009 was the last time.
Do you know what, I'm going to jump in because I'm going to agree with you. And I know it's like 8, I know what you mean, 8 sounds really high.
Sounds too high, yeah, but
I think what I'd say is, when we went out last season to Bayern Munich, first year back in the Champions League for a while, I didn't feel like we'd lost to one of the best teams in that competition. I felt like we lost to the name Bayern Munich and the players they've got, but they weren't one of the best teams in it. Whereas against PSG, I actually thought not only did we go out to who, to me on the eye, are one of the best teams. Look what they did to City from 2-0 down at the Parc des Princes. Look what they did to Liverpool at Anfield. Look what they did to Aston Villa. They're a very, very good side. Very, very good side. They are deservedly in the final. And I know that everyone was furious about how we went out and the season ending and all that. But I actually think over those 2 legs, we didn't disgrace ourselves. Far from it. I think we looked like we absolutely belonged with those teams that were there, Barcelona, in a different way. We don't play the football PSG and Barca do. But defensively, we're very good. Tactically, we're very good. And I think, we could have been 2-0 up in the first 10 minutes in Paris. We started so I don't think we disgrace ourselves at all. Semi-final, and I agree with what you said about the top 8, the league phase. We won in Lisbon and 5-1. We shouldn't have lost in Milan. I thought we were good against Inter that game. And then what we did against Real Madrid, guys, 3-0, 5-1 against Real Madrid. And, I know you always talk about Turkish, that you want those memories to have led to something. Yeah. But you also
because it ain't led to something.
But you still reflect on those Declan Rice free kicks, and you still reflect on winning at the Bernabeu against Kylian Mbappe and the European champions, and you go, but that is special. So, do you know what? For the sake of the fact that there's very little positives I can actually take, I'm going to give it an 8 because I've had a blast in the Champions League this year, though we didn't win it. What about you, Lee?
Yeah, I'm giving it a solid 8. Because of what we've done in it. As you say, like going away to Lisbon 5-1. I remember going to PSV, we was all saying, we'd bite your hands off for a draw. 7-1.
7-1 in...
Yeah.
7-1 is an incredible result. Again, didn't do, if I'd be really honest, again, let down at home. If I feel like, we come back at PSV, I think it was 2-2 if I remember rightly. Didn't really do the business in that second leg. Real Madrid, yeah, it's fantastic. It was a great result, and that don't mean that much to me now because we didn't get through. If I'll be honest, it's great that we've done that and whatever.
But are they not just great memories and just a great moment? I know it's all ultimately about where it led to, but is it not in itself a great trip?
Listen, I've had some great trips, but at the end of the day, so ultimately it's about winning and getting through, winning it at the end of the day. If we go on and win against PSG, we would be milking that unbelievably well, but it didn't happen. For me, the biggest disappointment I've got to say was the home leg against PSG. It let down a lot of that. Yeah. Just didn't perform. Okay. When it really mattered, didn't perform. And I thought we was fantastic. If I've been really honest, in France, I thought we played really, really well. Didn't deserve to lose that game, but because of we didn't do the business it put all the pressure on that game. Yeah. But as a campaign overall, third in the league in a new phase, which none of us knew what it was for and whatever. I feel it was a very, very solid 8.
Okay, and to Turkish
7. Yeah, everything you lot said. Could have done more in the second leg, in my opinion. Could have done more in both legs. Yeah. Wasn't embarrassing, still put up a fight. Probably unfortunate to lose the second leg, but did we do enough to win the second leg, which we needed to do? Probably not. I asked where the anger, rage and frustration was in that last 20 minutes. When you look at Inter Barca, extra time, last 5 minutes, there was a lot of, you could see everything was, with us it was still methodical up until the 89th, 90th minute. Need to loosen up a bit. But yeah, 7. This is definitely the only competition that you look back on, or I look back on this season with some fun memories at least.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, well then let's give the whole season a rating. We'll go back to you, Turkish, then. Out of 10, Arsenal's whole campaign.
3.
Robbie?
All of it. Carabao. The whole thing overall, 5.
I'm going 4.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's been a disappointing season. If anybody said to you, what do you think of this season? It's
Nah,
disappointment for me.
2. Tottenham have won something as well. It should be 1, to be honest, but 2.
Guys, does that play a part for you when you look at the
plays a part for
season?
me.
You know, when you look at what others have done.
No, I never.
The fact that we lost the title to Liverpool when we were supposedly meant to be ahead of them, it wasn't to City again. Does all this play a part?
The Tottenham thing doesn't play a part in it because we weren't in that competition. We couldn't be in that competition. It's impossible to be in that competition. I don't want to be in that competition. Sure. If it's going to be, we have to drop down into second tier, third tier competitions to try and win. I don't want to be that, right? So I hear that what you're saying, and that, you know, them winning kind of highlights what our season more, but to me, that's
just leaves an even more sour taste, though.
Yeah, our season was in our control, right? And it's still, for me, a overall 5. I mean, we you know, they lost 21 games in the league. I don't think I could have coped.
We've only lost 4 games this season in the league.
Yeah,
but we've drawn too many.
Yeah, and
what if I worded it differently? What if I said, how have you enjoyed the last 10 months of football or 9 months of football?
I haven't enjoyed it. I have not enjoyed this season.
Then it's a 2. Then it's a 2 for me.
Yeah,
from the injuries to the lack of transfers to Tottenham winning to Liverpool beating us to the style of play to also actually the general quality. This is, and I know some Liverpool fans say it's a slight. It's not absolutely, but the general entertainment value of football. The Champions League is such a breath of fresh air watching teams there. I've not enjoyed it.
Ultimately, it ended in disappointment, though.
Yeah, and I just felt really let down by the whole transfer.
What did I say it was?
You know,
I'm going to go down to a 3.
Yeah, I'm 2.
I was so let down by the whole transfer situation. You know, because I felt that
was a kick in the.
Because to me, sometimes you know, we can all see things as.
I gave up.
You see things going wrong, like someone come in now and say, right, here's some help. And they just did nothing. And I remember a guy said to me at that time, he goes, Robbie, he goes, my season ticket for the rest of the season, he goes, I'm just putting on ticket exchange. Because he goes, they don't care. He goes, why should I? He goes, I'm going to try and see if I can make back enough money off of it to pay for my season ticket for next season.
Do you know what? I would have done that.
I couldn't blame him.
If we weren't doing what we were doing, I would have done exactly the same.
Yeah, I couldn't blame him because I was like, no effort from them. Why should we make effort?
Yeah, that was a real disappointment. I found it. Listen, last season, I don't know how you guys feel about this. Like, I couldn't wait for the next season to finish. Didn't want it to. Yeah. I can't wait to get out of the Emirates last week. I'm done with this. I just want it done. And I'm not. Yeah. Something's now. And I mean this now, is the ball has got to get me excited again.
Yeah.
And
you're right. This summer's so big, right? They and some of them signings have to excite people, like you said. People have to be like, what?
Yeah.
I want to get back.
No, just little. We need, especially with Tottenham. That's where I do think the Tottenham thing does add to it, because like with them winning that today, we wanted to win back some of the fans there. They need to excite them ahead of that new season.
June, July, August is massive for Arsenal. But September, October, November is even bigger. That's what's coming. So as big as the next 3 months are, it lines up. The first 3 months of next season for Mikel, for us, massive. And the only platform for that is to have the big 3 months we need now.
Yeah.
No excuses.
Yep.
It's all there. It's all in front of you. The manager said it now. Next season, we win all of these things now. That's it now.
Agree.
Well, there you go. I think that's the right message to leave on. A big thanks to Turkish, who rated the season a 2 out of 10 overall. Robbie gave it a 5, am I correct? Mm-hmm. I've given it a 4 and Lee's given it a 4. Big thanks. There'll be more videos coming out as we review the season, so look out for those. But big thanks. Subscribe here to AFTV. I've been looking at the wrong camera. I am now looking at the right one. I'll see you very soon. Catch you in a bit.